This is a video tutorial presented by Learning Audio Workshops. In this tutorial, I will show you how to set up your first Cubase project. The first thing you need to do is open Cubase. Press File, New Project, or Ctrl-N, or Command-N on a Mac, and this window will open. When you start Cubase, this window might already be open by default. If this is the case, you can skip step 1. Choose Project Folder Location. On both Windows and Mac, a folder called Cubase Projects will automatically be created in your default music folder. Give your new project an appropriate name and press Create. This will automatically create a subfolder within your Cubase Projects folder with the name you chose. Your empty project will look something like this. The color of your interface may vary depending on how you choose to customize it later. At this point, even if you haven't started on the project yet, it's a good idea to save it. This is done by clicking File, Save, or hotkey Ctrl-S on a PC or Command-S on a Mac. And this window will open. By default, Cubase will locate the correct folder for you. This is the folder we created in the beginning. In this window, you choose a name for your new project. For convenience, I chose the same name as the project folder to keep things clean and tidy. This is for making it easier when you want to locate your project in the future. After naming it, click Save. Now that you've saved your project, Cubase will automatically have created a CPR file in your project folder. The CPR file will look like this. This is where all your project information is stored. As you can see, there's another folder here called Audio. This folder is created automatically for you in your main projects folder when you create a new project. This is where all your audio that you import or record will be stored. Now it's time to take a look at your digital audio preferences. Click on Project, Project Setup, and this window will open up. This window has a range of options and might look confusing at first. What you want to do now is go to the option called Sample Rate. The recommended sample rate to work with is 48,000 kHz. Next, you go to Bitrate and choose 24 bits. When this is done, simply press OK. The next step is making sure that our audio interface hardware is properly used by our digital audio workstation, or DAW for short. Press Devices, find the option called VST Connections, and this window opens up. First step is to make sure that our inputs recognize our audio interface. If your input is set to stereo, it might be a good idea to add a new bus and select a mono one. This is done by clicking Add Bus and selecting a mono one. I'm not going to do this now because I already have mine set up, but you should click Add Bus if yours isn't chosen already. Under Audio Device, if it says Not Connected, click on it and select your audio interface from the list. Depending on which audio interface you are using, the name here might vary. By clicking on the name of your audio interface, you'll get the question if you want to switch to it. Press Switch and then OK. Under the option Device Port, you simply choose which port you're using to connect your microphone. I'm using input number 2 on my audio interface to record this. Next, we're going to go to Outputs and do the same thing. Locate your audio interface and set up your monitors so that the left one goes to stereo out 1 and your right one goes to stereo out 2. If your audio interface is not in your list and you can't locate it, click Devices, Device Setup, go to VST Audio System, which is highlighted in gray. Then press the drop-down menu and find your audio interface there. If you have installed all your drivers and your hardware is properly connected, it should show up there. Then press OK. You are now ready to create your first audio track. This is done by going to the empty area here, right-clicking, and pressing Add Audio Track. Since our input bus is set to mono, you want to make sure that you add a mono track. Choose the amount of audio tracks you wish to create. Name your track, for example, lead vocals, and press Add Track. Now that we have created our first audio track, we can start recording. The Record Enable button must be pressed before you start recording. If it's not pressed, it's gray, so make sure that you click this if it's not already clicked, and it should be red. If you want to rename your track, simply double-click and enter your new name, for example, backing vocals. Don't forget to choose your input. It's very important that this is the same one as the one we created on the VST connections earlier. If you set up your input before you create your audio tracks, this would all be done automatically. But if you're having signal difficulties, this might be the problem, so always keep it in mind. To start recording, you can find the record button up here. This can be set to a hotkey at a later time for easier access. There are many different types of tracks that you can create. I will talk about those in a later tutorial. I'll just quickly show you how to create an instrument track so that you can load up your synthesizers. Right-click, Add Instrument Track, and then choose one of your VSTs. Once you've chosen the one you want to use, press Add Track. If you want to delete a track, simply right-click on it and choose Remove Selected Tracks. This concludes Learning Audio Workshop's tutorial on how to set up your first Cubase project.